Hey folks, it's Eric, the Whatever Guy, because it really is whatever me. And today we're going to talk about Alabama marijuana regulators to begin talks with legal challengers about the AMCC and about the medical cannabis going forward in the state of Alabama. We're going to talk about that today, so you guys stick around. My name's Eric. I am the Whatever Guy, and I usually shoot videos a couple days a week, basically keeping you guys updated in the world Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, hemp cannabis, just what's going on in our realm. And today, man, got a couple things going on, man. As you guys know, man, we're moving forward with this medical cannabis commission in the state of Alabama. We have been working on this since 2019, I believe, and in August and in June, when they finally awarded those licenses for the first time, it was within a few hours that we realized we had some issues. Obviously, there was quite a bit of issues because within a couple of days they suspended those licenses, and then they came out on August 10th. To re-award those licenses. They re-awarded those licenses a second time. And now we find ourselves in a position where we've got a bunch of legal challenges. I've talked to you guys previously about this. We are one of those legal challengers. We at Green Phoenix for Boro Hemp, we applied for a license. We scored fourth. But the way they did those licenses was the top four scores in the manufacturing space were supposed to get the licenses. But the way it worked out was they went 1, 2, 3, and then they skipped over us and went down to Organic Harvest for whatever reason. But there's been arguments many times. There's been talks about people stepping down from the commission. Mr. Stokes obviously had a big time say in what was going on with the AMCC. He was actually the one that shot down the commission's motion to actually meet with all of these people. And now we find out with this third round of reawarding of the licenses. Prior to that, they are actually going to meet with all the people that did not get licenses. They're going to meet with everybody, and then they're going to reaward these licenses a third time. So we're going to switch over to an article over here at Marijuana Moment. I apologize for being a little bit jawed up this morning. It's early in the morning, so we're checking things out. All right, so it says here, this is an article over at Marijuana Moment. You guys can check this out pretty good. It says Alabama marijuana regulators to begin negotiations with legal challengers over the state's licensing process. Okay, now the other thing to understand about this, guys, was some of the people that got licenses in the first round, once they were voided, did not get licenses in the second round. There's a lot of legal challenges going on here. It's not just us. We're going to talk about William Somerville. He's the lead attorney for Alabama Always, but he also represents, obviously Boro Hemp and Green Phoenix and a couple other companies. One of the things that they're arguing about is the fact that they went behind closed doors to nominate these people. They just basically said, fuck the scores, and they nominated whoever they thought was the best in the world. My understanding is, or what they thought was the best in the world. My understanding was, with Mr. Stokes shooting down that motion to actually meet with the people that the commissioners would not have met with those people. But now we're finding out behind closed doors that there were some conversations between the commissioners and the people that actually were awarded licenses. So there was some knowledge there, which doesn't make any sense to me. Why wouldn't they want to meet with all of them, not just the few that you like? But however, and then the other thing was too is Alabama was supposed to be first. We were supposed to be Alabama first. People were supposed to be from Alabama that were supposed to benefit from this program, and that would I would imagine that was why Verano did not get a license in the second round. They got a license in the first round. They scored first, I think, but in the second round they didn't get a license. And the reason why is because they were actually tied to several companies down the line. You were not supposed to be able to get but one license. You couldn't be tied to anybody else. And then also you had to be from Alabama. And Verano, we all know, is based out of Chicago. They just came down here, opened up an office, and decided we would be Verano, Alabama. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. People that were from Alabama that have lived in Alabama for quite a while were supposed to be the ones that benefit from this. You weren't supposed to just come to the state and set up operations and take over our medical marijuana cannabis program. But having said that, that's just a one thing or many things in the line of many legal challenges that we have going forward. So we're going to talk about this one today. This is we're very hopeful that we can arrive at a profit process that will be best for everybody involved, including the patients who need medical cannabis. So that's the issue here, guys. Like, I understand both sides of it because I'm on the side of the legal challenges and I'm on the side of a medical cannabis patient. I understand we need medical cannabis, but if we don't get this right, it's going to be screwed up all the way to the end. It says the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission will meet with prospective producers and distributors next week to attempt to resolve litigation over the state's licensing process. A Montgomery County Circuit judge Wednesday extended a temporary restraining order to allow the negotiations to go forward. Now, I find this funny that it took us a lawsuit to get this done. But like I said, prior to the 1 week prior to the awarding of the licenses on August 10th, there was a motion put forward by one of the ladies on the board, and Mr. Stephen Stokes basically killed that motion. They could have spoke to all of the prospective distributors and processors prior to the second awarding of the licenses, but Stephen Stokes shot that down. You will also notice that in August 10th and the second meeting, they spent the first 30 minutes of that meeting espousing about how well all the good things that Stephen Stokes did for the commission, but really he didn't do any fucking good things for the commission. He screwed it up from the start to finish. He should have never been on the board to begin with. He was the one that basically wanted them to seed the scoring out to the University of South Alabama. And you're not supposed to be able to sit on the AMCC board and sit on the board of the of University of South Alabama too. So that was why he ended up stepping down. But having said that, prior to that, up 1 week prior to the second awarding of the licenses, Stephen Stokes was still in charge of what was going on. It says here, William Somerville, an attorney for Alabama Always, and several other companies. One of the companies suing AMCC said that after the hearing that it's unclear what might come out of the negotiations. Somerville said he hopes that it will streamline the process to allow the best applicants to receive a license without being stuck in court for years to come. Because that's where we stand right now, guys. We stand in a position where we could be tied up in litigation for the next 3 or 4 years. I felt very encouraged that everybody seems to have that as their objective. Will Webster, an attorney for AMCC, said after hearing the attorneys involved for AMCC, Alabama Always, and all intervening parties will privately meet on September 11th to discuss how the process moves forward. Webster said they will hash more of these things out at the private meeting. We did talk some procedural things today about how this is going to work, how it might work, some ideas that people have for the commission in consideration. Now, let me back up on this. All this time that I've been straining to get information out of the state capitol, and I just had a call yesterday from a cousin. I've actually got a cousin that works at the state capitol. I had no clue that he works there, and obviously he had no clue that I was in this space. And he came across one of my videos, saw it, and was like, "Look, that's my cousin." So what I'm hearing is this is what I'm hearing, that Aunt Kay. We call her Aunt Kay because she comes from our area. I actually met her quite a few times when I was a kid. Not that I know her personally, not a personable relationship, but when I was a kid, she used to give us all of us kids candy and stuff. But having said that, Aunt Kay comes from our area, and he's telling me that Aunt Kay, KIV, the governor of Alabama, behind closed doors, had a conversation with John McMillan. And my understanding is that on September 11th, that this is going to be a broad spoke will. Like my understanding is that they have. That they're going to bring more licenses in, possibly. Like they're going to solve this or be pretty close to solving this on September 11th. My argument has been the whole time just award everybody a license and let the market sort it out. That may be where we are heading. My understanding is that the argument or the discussions are pushing more towards that than they are, sitting in litigation for 3 or 4 years. It was a positive day because right now there's not been a decision made about exactly the things that are going to need to happen, but we're in conversation about that, Webster said. Somerville also expressed optimism following the hearing. Alabama Always, which did not get a license in the earlier rounds of awards, wants a third round of licensing to include site visits or at minimum a requirement that applicants provide videos of their facilities, Somerville said. The company also wants the commission to reconsider previous scores. He said what might come out of the negotiations will be the process of how applicants present their cases to the commission. We're very hopeful that we can arrive at a process that would be best for everybody involved, including the patients who need medical cannabis. Alabama Always ranked 26 among 38 applicants for integrated facility license in the scores used for the second round of awards. I personally don't see a way to use previous scores, Somerville said, but I'm certainly willing to consider what anybody has to say about it, but I don't think so. Webster said that the use of the scores will be a point of discussion. The commission issued an administrative stay last week on license process at its meeting in Montgomery to allow parties to attempt to resolve issues, before resuming the licensing process. The AMCC were awarded the licenses for the production and distribution of medical cannabis at the August 10th meeting, 2 months after stopping the earlier awards amid questions about the evaluation of applications. Alabama Always, which sued the commission in July over the appointment of former chair Stephen Stokes, filed a lawsuit against AMCC after the August 10th meeting, alleging that commission members privately nominated companies for public votes on license awards during an executive session. And that's exactly what happened, guys. Like I recorded the whole thing start to finish. They literally went in and had some sort of administrating thing where they talked about Stephen Stokes for about 30 minutes, and then they closed down. And for 4 or 5 hours, they were upstairs in a room basically negotiating or talking about or nominating these commissioners. My question is, like, how did they know who to nominate if they weren't talking to supposedly weren't talking to these prospective licensees prior to this. Like if they were only talking to a few of them and those people got the licenses, because I know for a fact they didn't talk to Green Phoenix, like we didn't get a license. I know for a fact they didn't talk to Alabama Always. They didn't get a license. I know for a fact they didn't talk to several companies out there that did not get licensed, but it's finding interesting that they did talk to some of the people that actually got awarded licenses. Montgomery County Circuit Judge James Anderson extended the restraining order at least until September 19th, when AMCC is expected to meet again in Montgomery. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the story, guys. I hope everybody understands what's going on. This licensing thing has been screwed up from the very beginning, but I personally sit on both ends of it. Obviously, I work for Boron Hemp, and I would like to see us get a license, but I also sit on the other side of it because I'm a medical cannabis patient, and I would like to see medical cannabis come forward in the state of Alabama. But I want to see it done right, guys. I don't want somebody coming from the fucking Netherlands coming in here and running our medical cannabis program. I don't want somebody coming from Chicago coming in and running our medical cannabis program. There should not be one person with 2 or 3 licenses in there. There's enough money and space out there for everybody, and I think we can get that sorted out. I hope that on Monday, September 11th, we work this out. Obviously, today's Friday, so we've got the weekend to sit and take a look at this. But I hope you guys appreciate the video, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Love you. See you.